It's my pleasure to welcome the President of the General Assembly, His Excellency Dennis Francis. Great honor for us, sir. I invite you to address the committee. Excellency, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good morning. Your Excellency Alexander Marschik, Permanent Representative of Austria and Chair of the Third Committee, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, I extend my sincere congratulations to the Chair and Bureau members on your election for this session. In challenging times such as these, marked by rising inequalities, devastating disasters, and tragedies of war, the work of the Third Committee becomes not only more pressing, but also more important. This is because these issues are intrinsically linked to the fundamental principles of human rights, which are at the very heart of our organization and everything it stands for. Excellencies, it is therefore a matter of great concern and frustration that respect for human rights has deteriorated in many parts of the world. During this session, we will mark the 75th anniversary of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and the 30th anniversary of the Vienna Declaration and Program of Action. On 15th December, I will present the award to the winners of the 2023 United Nations Human Rights Prize. The prize symbolizes an important message to human rights defenders all around the world, underlining that even in the face of the danger they sometimes face, their work matters, and that they should be allowed to carry out their activities on behalf of the international community without fear, reprisals, or intimidation. This momentous occasion provides us with a unique opportunity to renew our personal and institutional commitments to the principles of the Declaration. Our dedication to this cause should be unwavering, ensuring that all human rights are upheld universally, and that the promise of freedom, equality, and justice for all, as enshrined in these declarations, become a living reality. The committee's work is therefore essential in this regard. Last month, heads of state and government reaffirmed their commitment to achieving the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030. We need to leverage human rights to achieve the SDGs, as I see these as two sides of the same coin. From a gender perspective, the situation is very concerning. Indeed, none, I repeat, none of the indicators for SDG 5 on gender equality are even close to being met. Violence against women and girls continues to be widespread. Harmful practices and discrimination based on sex have doubled, and a staggering 54% of countries still lack laws in all key areas of gender equality. The gap in power and leadership is visible at all levels, including in the General Assembly. Recognizing these challenges, and as a gender champion myself, I convened the second annual meeting of the Platform of Women Leaders during High Level Week to emphasize and indeed to dramatize the role of women leadership in achieving the SDGs. I have appointed my special envoy to also serve as my special advisor on gender equality and women's empowerment, and I will soon reestablish and convene the Advisory Board on Gender Equality. Excellencies and distinguished delegates, this year has been marked by a stream of humanitarian crises, with a record 350 million people in need of urgent humanitarian assistance, equating to 1 out of every 23 individuals globally. The recent devastating earthquakes in Afghanistan and the deteriorating situation in the Middle East have painfully multiplied these numbers. These crises underscore the scale and complexity of the challenges that the global humanitarian system has to deal with on a daily basis. I extend my heartfelt condolences to the families and relatives of the victims of all these tragedies and call for urgent assistance to those in need. And I call upon partners to support humanitarian operations, as well as to facilitate the delivery of food, water, and health support. The reality is that humanitarian operations are often obstructed by resource constraints, and the UN is yet to receive around 70% of the funds required under the global humanitarian appeal to meet these urgent needs. Moreover, humanitarian workers are under threat by alarming attacks on them and civilian infrastructure in violation of international humanitarian law. I implore member states to uphold humanitarian principles and international law in all conflicts and to honor their obligations to safeguard humanitarian spaces without exception. I repeat, without exception. Denying or withholding access, especially when basic needs are unmet, must not be tolerated. In our work as member states, we must draw upon the valuable advice and experiences of civil society, human rights defenders, and youth. I just came from a very lively interaction with the youth delegates, and their demand is simple. They expect to be accorded adequate space to engage with member states so that they can contribute to the intergovernmental processes, more especially on the Summit of the Future. I urge all member states to heed their call. I commend the chair for already briefing civil society organizations on the work of the committee. I too will host a CSO town hall, the first of what I hope will be the beginning of many more such engagements. As I conclude, let me stress that this year the Committee for Program and Coordination was not able to agree on 10 programs, which the main committee should now consider. I commend you, Chair, and the committee as a whole for having already examined the relevant open programs and urge you to share your conclusions with the Fifth Committee as soon as possible so that the latter can take your input into account. As you continue your important work, I call on you to use this committee as a forum for open and respectful dialogue. Human rights mandate holders should be enabled to carry out their work without fear of intimidation or harassment. And it is the expectation that all participants will uphold their obligation to preserve the decorum and good order of the Assembly and its committees. While many issues may divide us, we shall find unity in our common humanity to advocate for a better future for all and place human rights at the very heart of our work in the UN. I look forward to working closely with you all to promote and to protect human rights for everyone, everywhere. Allow me to end in the tradition of this committee. In the quest for human rights, we unite. With UDHR as our guiding light, together we strive hand in hand to make our world a better land. I thank you.
I thank the President of the General Assembly for joining us this morning and for his important statement. Wise word of guidance for all of us